Hi, welcome to the Stimulation Game, a crazy game by Neil.fun where you farm and receive as much dopamine as possible. And today we are going to rebuild it. But here's the catch. We are going to rebuild this thing in a single web page. So there's a lot of elements here. I think looking at the source code that it was built with Next and Vue as JavaScript frameworks, there's a lot of stuff you can do. I mean, you can open an item shop and buy stuff, you can check your mails, you can play Duolingo, there's a live streams, live Twitch app. I mean, this page is a mess. Dopamine hell or dopamine heaven, depends on how you look at it. And we are going to rebuild it in a single web page. And when I say we, I mean you and I. This is a project for all Datastar builders, but more at the end of the video. The game actually starts in a really simple way. There's just one button, and when you click on the button one time you get one stimulation, and you can buy upgrades with your stimulation. So for example, I can buy a bouncing DVD, which will give me a stimulation when it bounces on the edge of the screen. We can change the tab title, we can add this animation and get more stimulation. So the goal of the game is to gain stimulation, use the stimulation. Basically it's a cookie clicker type of game. But it's really well done, it's really fun, and as you can see, it starts simple and gets more and more messy. So let's try and check how we can do this with Datastar. Let's take a look first at what I've built for the moment. So we have the button, we have the stimulation. As you can see, I try to stay as close as possible to the original. The goal will be to build a one replica of the thing. And at 5 simulation, I can buy the bouncing DVDs. So two things here. I didn't make the bouncing DVDs. This is a cheat code to get 1000 simulation at once, and you can see all the power-ups that are available at 1000 stimulation. Let's review them. For example, we have the tab title, so you see the tab title here is untitled, and if I click here it says lol. If I click on the stimulation per second counter, I can see here the number of stimulation per second. I can click on button upgrade and get a nicer button. Watch closely. Oh my god, fantastic. Now I get 2 stimulation per click and it makes some noise. I can add a Subway Surfer stream. I didn't put this video stream, this is just like a placeholder image. I can add news. Well, the news is a marquee and marquees are broken, so I have to rebuild it. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. Of course, when I'm recording, it doesn't. We can add lo-fi, it's a placeholder as well. We can add rain sounds. I'll add it last because it makes some noise. Pinwheel, so it's a nice background effect. I didn't quite nail the pinwheel effect. No, let me use our cheat code to get more stimulation, and I clicked on rain. So yeah, you can add rain sounds. Let me reload quick. So all the page that you just saw is one web page. Number 1 rule of Datastar: don't use signals unless you have to. They are only for user reactivity. And well, today we are going to break that rule and do everything that we can with signals. And the goal of this project will be to see if we can recreate a 1x1 stimulation game with signals only. So I have the list of signals that I displayed here, and as you can see, it's all signals. You can see that 15 stimulation is the stimulation signal. The show DVD is a name, show is a namespace signal where DVD is 1 and tab is 1. I can see I have bouncing DVD and the type table here. And we will try to push this project as far as possible and see where it breaks. Let's now take a look at the code. As you can see, it is indeed a single web page. We have index.html, some CSS, the images, and some sounds, and this is it. So we are going to build the stimulation game with no build step. That's the fun part. Let's take a look at the HTML. So really something basic here. Just wanted to point out that we are on version beta 10 of Datastar, and we are going to make some CSS tricks. I'll show you that later. The first thing we do is we create a main element with style display equals none and data show equals true. So this is a trick so that unless Datastar is fully loaded, nothing will show because main will be hidden, and when Datastar is loaded we can display the elements in it. The first thing we are going to do is an empty div where we are going to put our signals. So for example, we have the stimulation as we saw, previous stimulation, which will be useful to calculate here the stimulation per second. We have a namespace signal called show to use to display upgrades or not. We will see how we toggle them later. We have some values for the upgrades, because for example you want the first click upgrade to be a +2 stimulation per click, so we will use this signal to store it. You want Lofi to give you 10 stimulation per second, so we first initialize at 0 and then modify it. So just simple signals here, and then on every refresh of the page, refresh animation frame, this is data on RAF, we will check if the user has enough, the player has enough stimulation to buy an upgrade. So for example, if there's more than 5 stimulation, we toggle show DVD to 1. So there's this kind of cool latch mechanism. Shout out to Gaspar Choking for helping me on this one. So here is all the toggle on the show signal, and this is it. So we store everything on there. This is like the an empty div for signal declaration. Next we have signal calculation. I split it in another div because why not? The first thing we do is on every second, so we throttle the request animation frame event, and we will add every passive increase of stimulation. So we will add rain, in-wheel, new slime, Lofi, mukbang. All of these upgrades give you stimulation per second. So we are going to do this on every second. We might want to upgrade the refresh rate afterwards, but this will be for another video. And we start with the good stuff. I mean the stuff we can actually see on screen. See here, I first have my marquee for the breaking news. So let me buy the breaking news real quick. Maybe this time it will work. Let me use my cheat code by the breaking news. No, marquee is still broken. It's a shame. And we can see that I am getting 4 stimulation per second instantly. Because on every request of animation frame, I am adding all these signals, and here news equals 4. How did I change the value of news? That was first 0 to 4. Maybe we can try to go check on that. Let's see the div about news. Here it is. So an upgrade div will be structured like this. We will give it some useful CSS classes. So to make it not selectable, to give it the good cursor when we hover on it. We will use the tooltip function of CSS. So the tooltip is what you see down here. Button upgrade or SPS counter. This is like encore positioning, but really simplified, and it's good enough for what we are going to do. And data show is, of course, if show.news is true and if news is false, because when the player buys the upgrade, we don't want to display it. When the player click on the upgrade, we subtract the price to the total stimulation because they have to pay for it, and we then update the value of the signal news that we want. So it's really that simple. The upgrade is like just an image, and the tooltip is like, yeah, some useful information, the price on which we will use data class to put class broke if the user doesn't have enough. We also try to use very sensible CSS to do this. So for example, you can see here in the tooltip we want the first P to be bold, second one to be gray. This is really easy to do in CSS. We'll try to stick with CSS capabilities, as you will see, goes a long way. So yeah, here you see on my tooltip, the first P is bold, the second P is gray, the last one has some padding, because we want to mimic the look and feel of the original stimulation game. Really simple and sensible CSS right there. Alright, so that was one upgrade. Let's get back to where we left. And we have our main UX, which is the button. So the button will use data class because we can upgrade it. See, if I click on upgrade, I just toggle the value of upgrade 1 to 1, and it will, I mean, this can be simplified to just like upgrade 1. Yeah, I guess, sure. And when we click on the button, we'll increment stimulation by 1 for the early game, then by every upgrade that we bought. So for example, if we buy the popcorn effect, we want to add 2 more after that. If we bought the first upgrade, and this is a nice stuff that we can do, I mean, we just put a semicolon here, and then we can use some JavaScript to play the click sound if I bought the first upgrade. See here, makes a click. Click me, alright. For the number of stimulation, really something very classic in Datastar that you will use. We use data text to bind the value of a signal to the inner text of an element. So we want to display here the stimulation. For the stimulation per second, so we save the value of the previous stimulation per second, and at every second we say, well, stimulation per second, 1 second has elapsed, so the stimulation per second is stimulation minus previous stimulation, and then the new previous stimulation is stimulation. This is really basic stuff. It has some problems because if you buy something expensive, then your stimulation per second goes into the negative. You see here I have a minus 86. So something that we can fix later, I hope. The achievements, something that you unlock afterwards. So here we have a div that only toggles if achievements is true. Doesn't do anything at the moment. The upgrades, so we see all the upgrades that we did. Let me restart the game. Let me cheat and buy a lot of stimulation. One thing I didn't say here is that on the original stimulation game you can only get 5 upgrades at maximum at any time, and I haven't figured out to do it yet, but I'm sure you will. Let me buy Subway Surfer. For example, yes, Subway Surfer. So this is just like, as you guessed, if the value of Subway Surfer is not 0, we display a stream and we use absolute positioning to put it where we want it to be. Same for the slime video, for example. Let me buy the slime video. We use absolute positioning to put some stuff on the screen. Yeah, kind of okay. Lofi is the same. News, we saw that one. SPS counter, we saw that one. Add tab title is interesting because it's making use of the ability to run basic JavaScript. So add type title, we just call document.title equals, well, no, not lol, let's call it data stimulation game 2025, and tab equals 1, so that we stop displaying it when it is bought. Alright, so this was easy. The rain sound, as you guessed, we will just call the function play sound, the same function that we call for making the click noise on the button. Rain is there, play sound, and we specify that we want to run in a loop with this. And the animation is just an SVG that is running in an animation. So it's a bit cheap at the moment. I'm sure we can do better, but it does the work. I mean, it's good enough for the moment. The file array pinwheel is just like a big div with background colors that we position with anchor positioning to the click button. I haven't figured out how to do the pinwheel effect yet. The tricky parts will be the DVDs, because we want to make them with web components. So this will be for another video, I guess. And for maybe also for the button upgrades to have some popcorn numbers. Yeah, popcorn animation, we can use some web components as well. This will be for our next video, where we'll try to... I mean, we went really far without web components for the moment, but we will have to build them, and I want to make a dedicated video for it, so not for the moment. Pinwheel, press, achievements, popcorn, slime, mukbang, and afterwards some divs for the stream. So div that we absolutely position with CSS, and as you can see, nothing really remarkable, just use the signal to display them if they should be displayed. And yeah, that's pretty much it. Alright, side-by-side comparison, and can you guess which is which? Just kidding. The Neil one is on the right. You see, he has some smoother transitions when things appear on screen. We will get there with CSS transitions, maybe with few transitions and web components and whatnot, stuff like that. 3 stimulation, we have the DVDs, so we don't have the DVD yet. Change the type title, we have that. Alright. Amount animation, we don't have it at the moment, but we can buy the counter. 25 simulation. 25 stimulation, alright. I was out of stimulation and I bugged for a moment. Alright, edge case I didn't cover. Next is the button upgrade. I think it's 40 stimulation, yes, good. You see the nice transition here. Let's buy the button upgrade. On the official page, same nice transition. I think the look are pretty similar so far. We now have sound. Alright, let's buy Subway Surfers. Good. Let's cheat and get a lot more stimulation to buy the news. The news is busted. Really good early game upgrade. Let's buy the Lofi Girl 250. It's a really fun game. My dopamine is just flowing right now. Lofi, Lofi. And we hit the spot where there's music. I don't want to restart my stimulation farming and just disable it. Can we buy the rain? Yes, we can buy the rain. It's one of my nicest videos, honestly. Alright. Can we buy the pinwheel? Yes, we can. I mean, for a first draft, it's really good. Now here's the fun part. You are a Datastar builder. You want to build something with Datastar? Well, guess what? Because it is a static web file, we can host it on GitHub and put it on a GitHub page. And this is exactly what we did. So if you go to this address, I will put the link in the description, you see we have a working prototype of our stimulation game. And you can go to the GitHub repo, it is public, and you can make pull request so that we can achieve this goal of recreating the stimulation game without any framework, just with the power of Datastar reactivity. It is a big challenge. We still have a long way to go. We need to implement shops, a lot more classes, web components, endgame. I mean, we also need to see if it ends up breaking or not, and if we can push the stuff to millions of upgrades and stimulation soon. We need to fry the dopamine of everyone. It's a really great game and it's a really fun project. So I hope you join me on this. Go on the GitHub, make pull requests. You can also just run it in your computer. And well, that's all. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, don't forget to put a comment. Don't forget to join the Discord as well. And I hope the next video will be the full stimulation game in a single GitHub page. Now that will be something, right? All right. See you there.